and they're not very competent. They're not a competent group.
Yeah, of course, of course. This is the problem. The level of intelligence is decreasing, and that's why the leaks came out. They want some people from who is left, small group of people. They want some vacant people, whatever, to
Okay.
start igniting this movement. This is what they really want because they are like sick and tired of those stupid elites.
Elites.
Yep.
I don't call them elite. Elite is, to me, elite is a performance. If you're really good at something, you're elite. But if
Yeah.
you're a pretender trying to be elite, you're just, we know what you are. You're an elite.
So what are you like experiencing? You told me you were like, trance.
Mhm.
How you trance
Yeah.
falling into trance, right?
Yeah.
So I've never experienced anything like this.
Oh,
How can you describe me? How what do you actually do? Because some people told me they were like experiencing these how do you call it, lucid dreaming, when they can actually control their directions and meet with other people, so they get connected each and every night, and they spend a bunch of times together and hang around, go to some universities, some colleges in this Navi world. So they said, "Are you ready to go there?" I said, "I'm not yet ready." So they like wanted to tell me all this practice, how to start this stuff, how to start all this lucid dreaming stuff. So, I mean, are you onto something like this, or is it some other experience?
yeah. I'm using, basically a combination, there's kind of shamanic techniques. And, there's, where you drum at a certain beat that creates, a certain, the brain waves. Like, in other words, if you beat a drum, which sounds pretty fast at 6 or 8 beats per second, but that's actually mimicking a relative, like a theta state, at least an alpha state, somewhere between alpha and theta. Alpha is light trance, theta is deep trance. But you're conscious, you're not unconscious. So, in other words, I can be sitting here at my computer listening to somebody, and all of a sudden, I'll just trance out. Sometimes I'll come back and it's 10 minutes later, I have to rewind the video. Now, my ear, I mean, certainly I was aware of being in the room and the video was on, but my point of reference was the inner world. And so actually, I mean, watching all of these videos from you and all the rest of the crew, many of the times when a certain piece of information comes that clicks in, I just trance out
This
and
is what
go
I'm
on it.
actually doing. I'm doing what you said. This is the technique. We call it how do we call it actually? The shape explaining. When I'm explaining something, I'm explaining it in some different shapes or constructions, mental constructions that are igniting people's mind, and they experience this, objects in their minds and get all this like through the nadi level.
Okay. I know.
We call it, how do we call it? It's like volume thinking.
Hmm. Okay. So that's really the main. I mean, then when I go to bed, it's a little closer to shamanic type stuff, but I don't use a drum necessarily. I kind of put myself down, and then I really communicate with our creator or aspects of her. And the Hindu system is very corrupted now, but the deep south, the Dravidian systems, the basically the black Indians,
Yeah, the nagis.
they they still maintain a lot of the original understanding of our the goddess and her various manifestations. Like right now, we're in I my practice is each new moon starts a different um, aspect of Sophia, Gaia, and so 13 times a year she presents a different mood starting on the new moon, and there's a quote unquote deity or consciousness that gives instruction during that period. So right now, the period we're in is a period of a being that teaches about the narrative of the human race. So this is this past 30, this past where we end on Friday, but this past lunar cycle has been so packed with instruction about us. So a lot of the things I've shared with you today, I've learned in the last 30 days.
Really?
Through this,
What do you take on Kali Ma then, the goddess of those Dravidians?
Kali Ma is an aspect of Sophia. She's kind of she's the protector. She's the protector of the race.
Why is she cutting heads though? Then?
Well, no, that's for the parasites. See, and also they call her the destroyer of worlds. We need to separate the concept of world from earth.
So she's like the evil thing that comes out when all this stuff gets messed up, right?
She's the rage of the earth. She's the rage of injustice, of corruption.
Have you seen this Rammstein video I've been, talking about in my video that got your comment? The Rammstein, this famous German group, they have this video, Deutschland. Check it out because you'll see what I'm talking about.
Well, that's what I covered with the Dutch. Because and if you want to ask somebody, do you speak German? Sprechen Sie Deutsch? So that's Dutch.
Yeah.
And then so what I kind of see now, Germany was taken over by the Prussians.
Dutch in Russia is daughter.
Okay.
Like daughter of this earth is Kali Ma. That's why they depicting her, the Deutschland, as a black woman that is cutting heads of everybody in this video. So this is
she's cutting off the heads of evildoers.
Everybody. They're cutting Christians' heads, Romans' heads. I mean, I'm not saying they're good or evil. She's like, this is a symbolism. The head cutting thing is actually the symbolism that we have also in Christianity when we have this beheading of the prophet John the Baptist, right? He also was beheaded. So it's like before you have to behead somebody before something good comes. And this is like misinterpretation, I think, what we have right now, because we lost the original meaning of this process. And now it's like looking like totally barbaric and blood sacrifice thing.
Right. And a lot of the modern adherents of Kali Ma are quite not, they're demented. They, a lot of the original purity of it has been corrupted. So now you have, sometimes when you hear about some horrors in India, it's from ignorant followers of what they think Kali Ma represents. I mean, the word is there, Ma. Matter of fact, that group of being is called Mahavidyas.
Yeah, what do you take on Ma? What is Ma? Mother?
Yeah.
Yeah, of course. We have it also like this. Ma is like short when you call your mother Ma. Ma?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. And Vidyas is the wise ones. So this is the wise mothers.
Yeah, Vedas in Russia is knowledge. So it's like the thing that you know, like not even know, but you experience and practice.
In Greek, it's gnosis. Well, actually, the word for wisdom in Greek is Sophia.
Also, yeah, the temple of Sophia in Istanbul and in Kiev and in Sofia, the capital of Bulgaria. Tartarians were depicting as Bulgarians on the map, and Bulgar is Volga. Volga was called Ra. This is the connection. We're connecting the dots here right now, guys. I mean, if you don't understand what we're talking about, we are sorry, but we can answer your questions in the comment of this video and maybe come with the second part with more specific answers. But I think we're on the same track with Radagast. and I'm glad I met him and his channel and watched some of his videos. I think you should also subscribe. His way of thinking and his experience will definitely upgrade your knowledge.
Well, I'm bringing I'm trying to bring my gifts to what we're doing here. I mean, we're working as a team. So one of my gifts is I'm 66 years old. I've been around a little bit. The other thing is I have a good sharp intellect. And so for me, an intellect that isn't shared is not a very noble thing to do. So I want to follow.
What are your plans on your channel? I mean, what are you going to be, what content we should expect from you? What are you leading us to? I mean, what research? Are you going to expand on Tartaria?
Yes. Yeah, I mean, to me, this is about our story. We need to replace history with our story. And then the other thing I realize is, what do they call what they don't know? Mystery. Mystery is my story. And you take all the my's together and you have our story. So, you have the collective, which there always is that we belong to, and then there's the individuation. So what is my story? Those who give us history call it a mystery. So the mysteries are our story. And then you have to go back to quote, and that's why I made a video about the pagan boogeyman. Because people think of the Greeks and Romans as pagans. They weren't pagan. That's what somebody said something about April Fool's Day, and I said, I don't celebrate being a fool. And again, all of these holidays are all, even the ones that originally might have been wholesome, are now flipped and inverted. So April Fool's Day, to me, kind of celebrates the reset and the fooling of the original humans.
It's like the officials explain it as the erasing of 2 weeks between the Gregorian and Julian calendar that our ancient times had, and that's why if you look at this specific year when it was implemented, you miss 2 weeks in April, and that's why you like have 1st of April and then like 15th of April, and this is like what they describe as a Fool's Day.
They're fooling us.
Yeah,
they're fooling us with that explanation.
I think it's just misleading information to fool us all and erase our history, because in Russia we have like 7,556 year right now, and in Julian calendar we have like what 2019, right? It's like where the hell is like 5,000 years missing?
Yeah. Well, they're hidden behind BC. We're 2019 AD. But if you take the Andronicus Christ of 1150, we're actually 869 after that.
We also have some Russians that talk about St. Petersburg as a place where Jerusalem would be, and they connect Jerusalem and Christ to Alexandria actually, and also connected to like the Jerusalem is like spelled Yarus Olymp, like the high mountain of Yar, or Yar is the year 365. Abrasax, Savalov, Jehovah, all is connected to this stuff. So like, and the Son of God, of course, and the worshiping to the Son, and some icons and some old depiction of the saint people with the sun behind their heads. So it's like, I don't know. Have you heard about it?
A little bit. There's certain things I hear about, but they don't draw me in. So I kind of like follow my instincts and also basically the things that kick me into some kind of at least a light trance. That's where I go. I just want to bring up the RH negative thing for a moment again.
Yeah.
If we notice that the Lites have a great interest in RH negative, right? We've seen that. So everybody, so the appearance is that the Lite bloodline is Rh negative. I don't believe that at all. I believe the reason why they are so interested in the Rh negatives is because that represents the original strong human stock. And they're so decrepit that it's only through them finding some of that original stock that they can try and keep basically they're vampires to the original humans, which is why they covet that Rh negative blood.
What about the blue bloods? What do you take on this?
To me, it's something. I don't know what's a contrivance. See, I don't know what is pretense and made up. And who knows whether or not there was once more of if the original humans didn't have more of a copper based blood than iron, because we all know that back accordingly, it seemed like there was much more oxygen once upon a time. So you might not have needed as heavy a binding with oxygen as iron is, and they might have been able to, copper might have worked sufficiently because there was so much oxygen that the oxidation process of oxygen to copper was sufficient for the organism. And then when the oxygen levels started dropping, iron was required to make up that difference. Not to mention iron is, associated with Mars, the god of war, where copper is associated with Venus. One of the few benefic, as they call it in astrology, planets.
So what do you take on Phoenicians, Venetians, Genoans, and all the stuff that Martin is talking about?
Well, there's no question Phoenicians and Venetians are the same, and to me, it's just, again, it's not so much is blood, it's performance. They act parasitically, they're parasites. I don't really care what their genes are. If you notice, the only ones who really care about the bloodlines are the bloodlines.
Yeah.
To me, the average person isn't so much interested. If we were really awake, we wouldn't care so much about bloodlines as genetics. So when you look at another human being and you see them perform, regardless of skin color, that makes no difference. Are they intelligent? Are they not ridden with genetic diseases? Do they have do they have good stature? Are they handsome or pretty? There are very obvious genetic markers right there for everybody to see as they go through life. So to me, if people were breeding properly, they would look for good genetics. You don't need to know lines. It's right there in front of you. Again, and that's the other thing. I mean, to me, all of the genetic diseases that certain groups have, like, they have all these genetic diseases, well, that's clearly a sign of shit design. That's the inserted human.
Yeah.
Because, the natural state of the body is disease free. The idea of genetic diseases, what the fuck is that? So that's a corruption of the original DNA. We were not created in error. So genetic diseases is an error in the process. And that's because, there was an insert into our genetics. And we see the actual documentation of that insert. That insert species is in Genesis and in Sumerian texts. They happen to conveniently try to leave us out, but it leaks. Again, it's, Cain went out and married someone, and there was a city full of them.
Yep.
Because they were Nephilim. They were giants in the earth in those days. And as we're seeing in our uncovery, look at all the Tartarian structures. And we have to consider the source. If the biblical sources are trying to cast the Nephilim as evil, then they must not be evil, in my opinion.
Yeah.